and the oil should be clear. In my case, it's not, it's milky white. Now with a Volvo 280 like this, it's an easy outdrive to work on, so there's only a few spots that really water can penetrate into your oil, and you can fix it yourself. So grab a Phillips screwdriver, go to the back cover plate and remove it. I recommend though when you do put those screws back in that you use some type of anti-seize, all right? Now, you're going to discover that when you've pulled that plate off, you're looking at a mechanism that goes up and down. It's a cam in there, and there's an arm that's on it, and there's some pins that are holding it together, allow it to move freely. Well, down towards the bottom, you follow it down, and you will remove that Carter key. Now remember, it's brass and soft, so be careful, and there's a washer behind it. And when you're doing this, make sure you memorize where everything goes. Now back to the cover plate. Where that cam moves up and down, keep it in the neutral position. And take a 7/16 ratchet and remove those 4 bolts. And remove that cover plate slowly, all right? Now you're going to see a clog on that. Make sure the high side of the clog, when you're facing it and you're looking at it, is on the right side, and that's very important that that goes back into the upper housing correctly. Now look here, there's an O-ring. Simple. Clean it up, replace that with a new O-ring, put some nice sealer around it to make sure you get a good fit, put it back in, bolt it up, and you might want to consider putting a torque on all of these, and that's up to you to do. Okay, now put the arm all the time, hit it softly. Hello everyone and welcome to this film short. I'm your host, the Doc, the Ghost Net Guy. Your co-host is Cosmos, and him and I are practicing our stroke, our follow-through, and our cue ball control, which is really, really important if you want to become a better pool player. Learn to control the cue ball. Cosmos is going to put me back in time so I can share with you some tips that I've learned on how to replace the freshwater cooling pump, the impeller that runs that system, because once it becomes weak, you'll notice on your temperature gauge, it starts to slowly sneak up over 180. No, not a good thing. Wow. Sitting in the boat a-rolling. How nice is that? Well, okay, so here's what we have going. This is a Chevrolet 350 cubic inch engine. It's a 255 Alpha, and I'm freshwater cooled, and that's what we're going to address. There has an impeller in here. Now you're going to need a 7/16 wrench, and remember that this is all brass, and brass is a very soft metal, so when you start removing these bolts, do it slowly so not to break anything off in here, all right? Once you remove the cover plate, it becomes fairly simple. All you do is take a couple of screwdrivers, narrow shaft ones, real narrow actually, and pry them both at the same time, and it will come right out of the area that holds and supports that pump itself. So with that impeller now in hand, you can see how it has bent over and it's losing its ability to run the water through the system. So now you take the new impeller, and remember, you always want to use Volvo Pinta quality parts for this, all right? Don't use aftermarket parts. You take grease, and you make sure that this is all greased up really well, because that's the key to starting your motor so you're not going to burn up the new impeller. You grease it good, up on the shaft especially, so it'll slide off again, because you should replace these fairly often. Now, turn it to the direction that it needs to go when the motor's running. Yes, that's right. You get this motor running the right way, oh, baby, she's sweet. Especially when you know that you got a good impeller and everything's tuned up the way it's supposed to. Now, sitting aboard rolling like this, wow, what a treat for me to be in the engine compartment. All I can say is make sure that your flame arrestor is really clean and polished, because nothing worse than getting a backfire on your boat and having it blow up. So keep it clean.